the next one starts with Pete, and apparently Kenny is that other dude, what's his fuck name was that I didn't know. So it's Pete and Kenny. They are riding the train to go to Metropolis to see Clark. And at this point, Clark is now like officially Superman, and like everyone knows that like Superman's a thing, and because of that, he's gotten a bit famous. So he's been like Superman for a year now at this point.
Okay.
And you know how Metropolis is with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
They love their Superman. They can't get enough of him.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their Superman t-shirts on, all their Superman stuff, and so Kenny's like, I'm afraid that Clark's like maybe going to like a big head from all this fame and plus publicity that he's getting. And Pete's like, don't worry, this is Clark we're talking about. He's not going to get it big. And they open the doors, and Clark is in front of a mural of Superman on the wall. It's like, welcome to Metropolis. He's like, maybe we should be a little worried. So they're like walking over to, they're working their way over to Clark's apartment. They're like, how do you like navigate the city like this? It's huge. And he's like, oh, it becomes second nature after a while. I know it a lot better from the skies than I do from the ground. I still get lost sometimes. And they're talking about his power, or like him being Superman, and he's like, because they're like, you stopped wearing the mask. He's like, it's not really a mask, it was just goggles to stop like the wind and bugs from getting in my eyes and stuff. And like, oh, big city boy, he's too big to get bugs in his eyes now. But they're like, so what's the deal? Like, you don't have the mask now, and everyone back home is worried that people are gonna figure out that it's you. Like, what, you can just never take your glasses off now? He's like, I take my glasses off all the time. I'm like, what? Why? Like, you know what they tell me? You look just like Superman. Which is something that I don't think I've ever seen embraced in a comic before. It's just always like, oh, he keeps his glass on. The second he takes them off, it's like, oh, the illusion's ruined. But it's just like, yeah, oh man, this guy looks just like Superman. Isn't that crazy? But no one ever assumes that Superman has a double identity.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's what makes the identity so good. Is that just Superman seems so high above everyone. No one expects that he tries to pretend to be a regular guy.
Yeah, it's not like Spider-Man where Peter Parker is just a normal dude who happens to be a superhero. Everybody just expects Superman to just be Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are we next? Okay, they get to Clark's apartment and they're like getting ready to go to this gala, which you don't know what it's for at the moment. And when they get there, it turns out that it's for it's Jimmy Olsen. He's been like he's been using his photos that he's taken of supervillains over the years to like kind of humanize them. He's like made this huge gala of like the supervillain pictures that he's taken and stuff like that. And Pete and Kenny get fed up with this city life and they go hit the open bar and get fucked up.
Super blasted.
But Jimmy and Clark, they like talk for a little while about the paintings and whatnot. It's nothing really super important. But as they're on their way out, like this whole comic's really about like Clark and his family and friends from Smallville, like how they feel about him being Superman. That's what this is really all about. So they're walking back to to Clark's apartment. And like, Clark, you gotta realize, like, we're not like you. Like, we can't just go do whatever we want. Like, this is your world, but we gotta like adjust to like what you're doing here. We can't just go fly off to the moon anytime that you're bored. And Kenny, drunk, he's like, can you do that? Can you fly to the moon? And Clark's like, well, I can hold my breath for about 3 hours. I clocked myself at 7,000 miles per hour going over the ocean. And the moon, I don't think that I can make it. Come to think of it, he's like, Clark, I was kidding. I don't. It's like, oh, right, yeah.
Clark can. Oh, Clark.
So they get back to the apartment and they're talking about. Oh, there's a part that I missed earlier. They were out at dinner and it shows that Clark has not been paying attention to his friends and family, because he finds out that Kenny's getting married to like the girl that he'd been seeing for a long time. He's like, oh man, you're getting married? I had no idea. And Kenny's like, yeah, I sent you an invitation 3 months ago. I sent you an email about it a week ago, and I tried calling you several times, left several voicemails. Like, I'm sorry, I've just been really busy. And they're like, yeah, we know. So it shows that there's some frustration about Clark, leaving that life behind. He hasn't been really keeping up with it. He's been noticing like how much he's been falling behind with his friends. So when they get back to his apartment after the gala, they're just talking about whatever, but then they start talking about, his powers again, him being Superman, and how Pete thinks that he should reach out to some of these other heroes, because they're talking about, like, Batman. They're like, they built a signal for him back in Gotham, like, he's working with the police now. And he's like, and Clark's like, well, as far as I'm concerned, he still owes me a new laptop.
He still owes me a new laptop.
Because, that's what happened last issue, or the 2 issues ago, is they smashed his head in, that's where he got the cape and all that. So he's like, maybe you should reach out to this guy. Maybe you could work alongside him. Reach out to some of these other people. There's that Red Blur in Central City, that, that scary woman with the lasso in D.C. There's that guy out in the ocean that's sinking, whaling ships. So maybe you should reach out to some of these guys. And Clark's like, why would I want to do that? I don't see the point. And they're just like, you can't do this stuff alone forever. And he's like, I'm not going to be Superman forever. He's like, no, Clark, you don't understand what you started here. You don't understand how important all this is. Like, you've opened up an entire new concept to the world of, now there's these heroes with superpowers and all this, and you don't understand how important Superman's become. And if you don't embrace this now that you've started it, you're going to let everyone down. Not just, the people in Metropolis, but you're going to let us down. You're going to let your parents down, your real parents. Because they asked, why is he wearing the symbol on his chest if he doesn't want to be a symbol? Mm-hmm. And he tells them that since he's on TV a lot, he was hoping that if he wore the symbol, his, original parents might find them, or might find him, if it gets broadcast enough, that someone might notice that he's missing. And they're like, no, like, you need to stand up for us, your real family, your real parents, your real human parents who raised you. You need to focus on them. And, they say a lot of, they get into a lot of yelling. It gets into this huge, shouting match. And I don't remember what it is that Pete says, but it just finally triggers Clark, or I think it was the thing about the parents. And he's like, you know what, screw you, Pete. And he just goes and he leaps out of his window and he tries to fly to the moon. He does not make it. He basically gets out of the atmosphere and all of his clothes burn off. And the decompression instantly disorients him, like, miserably. It would have killed a person easily, but him, he's like all kind of woozy and not like, he's not right in his mind. And as he's drifting through space naked, Albin Sur catches him.
I was gonna say, is there a fucking Green Lantern coming up here?
Yeah. So Albin Sur catches him, and Tomar Ray is there as well. And if you don't know, Tomar Ray, his sector is the one that Krypton was in.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was, and he tried to save Krypton, but it was beyond his anything that he could do. So, and that's not touched on in this. I just know that that's the case. So it's kind of weird that Tomar Ray was there, because they're like, they're talking, and he's like, who is this? Like, he's not human. He's like, no, he's a Kryptonian. He crashed here about 24 cycles ago. So he's been here for 24 years, and he's like, yeah, no, I've been keeping an eye on him. He's never tried anything like this before. He never tried to leave the planet and fly, off into space. And Clark can kind of overhear this, and he's like, did you say Krypton? What's Kryptonian? Like, what is this? Because he wants to know. He doesn't know where he's from.
He doesn't know he's an alien.
No, he never had like any of the information in the ship or anything like the typical versions. He doesn't have his Fortress of Solitude. He doesn't know who he is and where he's from. He doesn't know that he's Kryptonian. He just knows that he's an alien and he has superpowers. So he wants to finally get some answers. And he's like begging. He's like, I want this to be real. Please tell me this is real. Like, I'm not just like confused. And he's like yelling at them. He wants answers. He wants to know what he is. And he's like, please tell me about Krypton. I want to know. And Albin Sur thinks about it for a while, and he just knocks him out and drops him off on his roof naked.
Damn it, Albin Sur! You dick!
Yeah. Not the best way to handle that. But anyway, so like he wakes up the next morning in his bed, and Pete's like, we found you out here naked. Do I even want to know? Because he goes up to the roof where Pete was watching the sunrise. He's like, we found you out here naked. Do I even want to know? And he's like, it's honestly a blur. I don't really remember. But they talk for a while, and they make up. They're like, I'm sorry for what I said, and all that. They have some real talk and go over. And he's like, just, you got to realize what it's like for us. Like, I know that you have all these powers, and most things can't hurt you, whatever. But we're at home, and like I watch you on TV, and you're in danger. it's like watching my friend be in the front lines. Like, you're my best friend, and I worry about you. And he's like, you're my best friend too, Pete. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I haven't been as close as I have been. You know, they make up, and everything's fine. And he's like, yeah, Kenny, and they're like walking back inside, like, all right, let's go have breakfast. And he's like, yeah, Kenny was really worried. He texted you like 100 times. He's like, yeah, I think my phone's in space, so I think I need a new phone. He's like, yeah, you're going to have to tell me that story over breakfast. He's like, I'll try.
I think my phone's in space.
And that's the end of that one. Right? Yeah, there's nothing else of importance in there.